welcome to our time together today. And no matter how it is that your family celebrates or doesn't celebrate the holiday of Easter, I hope that somewhere in your day to day, you have discovered light and joy and calm and ease. So along that same vein, let's settle in together for just a few minutes of meditation to end this beautiful day and start this week off in a way that is mindful and intentional and really focused on each present moment that we are granted. So from wherever you are in your home, let's just gently close our eyes and then begin to notice the breath. Just paying attention to the inhale and paying attention to the exhale. And find your rhythm of breathing in and breathing out that feels calming and soothing to your nervous system, to your physical body, to your mind. And use that breath to just sink into that spot where you are, whether you're seated or lying down. Just really anchor yourself in. So the inhale fills up your heart and the exhale roots you a little bit more. And let's stay with that rhythm of breath throughout our practice, throughout these minutes, so that if the mind does try to wander, you come right back here, just paying attention, watching the inhale, and then watching the exhale. And again, using it as a tool of grounding. And so over the last few times, we've been doing this exploration of clearing our emotions. We talked one day about anger and how it's such a valid emotion to feel, but that there's a process to clear what that emotion can do to us if we're not careful. And then we went on a few days later and we talked about the frustration as an emotion and what the process is for clearing that and maintaining our perspective. And so I want to shift just a bit today as we close out this Easter Sunday again, whatever the day has looked like for you. And I want our emotion to be the emotion of happiness. And so while it's really easy for us to imagine releasing and clearing the residual effects of anger or frustration, it sounds almost counterintuitive to think about clearing out the emotion of happiness. But what I'd like for us each to do in our space where we are, just picture something that makes you happy. A person, an experience, a hobby, a place where you love to go, just something. That first cup of coffee in the morning doesn't have to be anything big, just something that makes you happy. And then what we know about happiness is that it comes from something external. The taste of that first drop of coffee in the morning is something external and it makes us feel happy. You know, hanging out with your fur baby, petting and just snuggling on that sweet animal, that is still an external thing that makes you happy. And I could go on and on with all these examples of things that we thought of, and none of those are bad. But what we know from all the emotions and all the research surrounding them is that happiness is dependent on what's going on externally. So what I'd like for us to do is to begin to lessen our attachment to the outcome of happiness and begin to focus on joy. And so I go back to some words I have read many times over the years, and it's an interview between Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And their goal is to teach us about joy. And they are the first ones to tell us that happiness is external. It's a good thing. It does make us smile. It makes us feel good. But it's connected to something outside of ourselves. They go on to tell us, as they have this conversation, that joy is bigger than happiness. Happiness is often seen as being dependent on something external. But joy, I promise you, is not. But then they propose this idea, and just listen to this. Is it possible to be joyful even in the face of your daily troubles? From the morning traffic to fears of being not able to provide for your family, to the anger at people who have wronged us, to the grief of the loss of those we love? Is it possible to be joyful even in the midst of these things? And what they tell us is yes. Because discovering more joy, Desmond Tutu says, does not save us from the inevitability of hardship and heartbreak. In fact, we might cry more easily, but we'll laugh more easily too. It's because we are becoming more alive. As we discover more joy, we'll begin to face suffering in a way that will empower us rather than making us bitter. And we'll have hardship without becoming hard. And we'll have heartbreak without becoming broken. And so I love these words by these two incredibly wise men who both have suffered hardship in their lives. Big hardship that's part of history, part of things that we know across the world. But what they tell us is that when you can shift from counting on happiness and begin to bring your view internal and instead focus on joy, you'll be able to experience the suffering parts of life in a way that you cannot even imagine. The first pillar of joy is perspective. And when you can begin to shift your perspective about the things that you're going through and maintain your joy, you will truly have discovered a way to live. And so what I'd like to ask each of us, instead of thinking about something that makes us happy, just reflect for a second. When was the last time you truly felt joy? Where it wasn't reliant on the weather or on someone meeting our expectations or on something at work going right. But deep down inside of you, when is the last time you truly felt joy? And then if you go back to that idea of happiness, sadly, I think we could all say with certainty that thing that made us happy, we could talk about the point when it ended and when something else came along and the emotion began to shift. But what we've learned about the study of true, internally connected joy is that it doesn't shift. And when the weather changes, and when people disappoint us, or when our finances are not exactly as we want them to be, or things at work don't go as we planned, we can still have joy. So as you've reflected and thought about the last time you felt joy, when all the stuff around you could be going on and it didn't matter because it was welling up inside of you, just imagine, what if you could feel that every single day? But to do that, we have to think about this emotional clearing of happiness, of letting go of our attachment to being happy. Happy is going to come. There are going to be things around us externally that happen in our lives and we will feel happy. But don't attach to it. Because as soon as the circumstance changes, disappointment will follow. Let's instead cultivate joy. Think about the pain that a new mom goes through when she's delivering a baby. Either you personally, someone in your family, a daughter, a daughter-in-law, a sister, someone you know that's given birth. Even in the midst of the pain, the physical trauma to her body, see the face of that new mom when that first sound of the baby's cry is heard, And the first time that baby is laid in her chest and she can feel the touch of him or her. Y'all, that's joy. That is joy. That comes from an internal place that even in the midst of some of the most terrible physical pain in a person's body, I feel something welling up inside of me that I just can't describe in words. That is joy. It's almost like you get lost for just a minute in the brokenness of the world or the noise of the world. It fades away. And all you can feel is this joy inside of you. So as we sit here for these few minutes that we have together, first I'd like us to use the breath for these next few rounds to begin to release our attachment to happiness. Knowing that when it comes, it's going to feel great and we're going to smile, but we're not going to get attached to the outcomes of it. And rather, a few breaths after that, I'd like us to use the inhale to begin to cultivate the sense of joy and tap into what is already inside of us. I go back to that quote by Thich Nhat Hanh so many times in my practice where he says, waking up, I smile. He doesn't smile because he's happy because the alarm went off. He smiles because he has joy about a new day, about new opportunities, new chances to do good. So let's just sit where we are together. Let's use the exhale for these next few rounds of breath to release our attachment to this need that we all have, this insatiable need to be happy. And then just accept when the happiness comes, we'll enjoy it, but we won't attach to it. So let's take a long, slow, deep breath in. And with the exhale, releasing our attachment to happiness. A long, slow breath in. And with the exhale, releasing our attachment to happiness. And again, long, slow breath in. Exhale, releasing our attachment to happiness. And I know that it doesn't come in just 3 short breaths, but at least we're starting the work in our mind, telling ourselves it's okay to feel happy. It is a good emotion. I need to feel it, but I don't want to attach myself. I don't want to get bogged down and hung on to whatever it was that caused the happiness. Rather, let's continue to breathe. And as you take a deep breath in, almost like you are igniting and fueling the joy that's within you, and then exhale, relax into the breath. Inhale, slow breath in, igniting the joy. Exhale, relaxing into it. One more, breathe it in. Feel the joy. Exhale, relax into it. And maybe over the coming days, each inhale can represent for you firing up, cultivating the joy. And exhaling can represent for you releasing the attachment to whatever it was that made us happy. So let's just sit with this new understanding just for these next few breaths across this next moment or so. And if your mind starts to wander, just tell yourself, I breathe in joy and I release my attachment to happiness. Once again, breathing in joy and breathing out my attachment to happiness. And I want to close our time with just a couple more words from this conversation between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. The real problem is here, said the Dalai Lama as he pointed to his head. And then he tapped his chest and said, it's also here. The problem sits in our mind and our heart when we think on the things that are not lasting. But the solution also is here as he taps his mind, and here as he taps his heart. When we learn to focus on our inner values, our true humanity, this is where we'll find peace of mind, peace in our world, and this is where we will truly begin to cultivate our joy. So the same things that cause us stumbling blocks are the things that can be our path to where we want to go. So over the course of the rest of the evening and in the starting of the day tomorrow, breathe in and cultivate joy, and breathe out and release your attachment to happiness. Namaste.